Oh my God, part. If you want to help kids right here in Central PA, I'm sorry, everybody. The LinkedIn was yelled at me. It said it's not going live. I need it to go live before I do my intro. Let's see. It's not going to do it. So we'll move on. If you want to help support kids locally right here in Central PA, this is the episode for you. We've got Krystina. I always point the wrong way. Krystina Shultz of Big Brothers Big Sisters in the house today. And this is Outside the Box, the podcast devoted to supporting Central PA small business. I am your host, Derek Bixler, realtor and digital marketer here in Central PA. I grew up on the Hill in Harrisburg, went to Mechanicsburg High School, went up to Penn Tech in Williamsport for college. And then I've been here as a realtor most of my working life. If you need to buy or sell a home, please reach out to me. You can text me right there or email me or just Google me. And if I don't come up, I'm doing something wrong because marketing's my jam. If you want to subscribe to our email to get networking mixer announcements, exclusive special offers, and anything else we put out regarding the group, go to supportcentralpa.com and subscribe to our email there. It's one a week. And the last 2 weeks, I have been late with them because I do personally write these things. They're not some automated thing. So hopefully everybody that's subscribed gets one today if I can get around to it. Ask a question in the comments if you have any. If we can't get to them right now, we'll get to them after the show, or Krystina will come to them after the show, or you can just pop something down there, tell us where you're listening from, or ask a question, or just a nice encouraging word about Krystina. I know a lot of people were commenting on the announcement post that they love you, and I love Krystina. I've known her for a while. Every single time I go the wrong way. So put it in the comments, give shout outs, questions, comments, whatever you want to put in the comments, please put it there. We'd like to hear from you. And all the replays are available on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the different places. And I'm going to have to upload it to LinkedIn because apparently it's not live there right now, which upsets me, but we'll keep moving. If you're on Clubhouse, follow me. I'm at Agent Derek on Clubhouse. And today, actually, we will be there after the episode, Thursdays, 1 to 2. It's called Central PA Small Business Connect. Basically, it's a room where we can all get together, talk to each other, share our businesses, network. Usually business gets exchanged in the room almost every time, and the room has been growing. So if you're not familiar with Clubhouse, you can get on there and follow me. If you need an invite, I've got a bunch waiting, so you can hit me up and watch a previous episode about 3 weeks ago if you need more info on Clubhouse. And now we'll get into it with Krystina Shultz of Big Brothers Big Sisters right next to us. And we will start by Krystina, just say hi and tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, that kind of thing.
Sounds good. Oh my gosh, did you take a breath in there at all?
They're always an hour. I got to keep it at 59 or below. And that's the only part I can officially control.
So you want me to introduce me?
Yes. Tell us who you are.
Who I am. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Krystina Shultz. I'm the marketing and communications manager with Big Brothers Big Sisters. I grew up in Enola and went to East Pennsboro High School, and I have been at Big Brothers Big Sisters for almost 4 years now, and I love working there.
That's awesome. And basically, so we've known each other for a while. I started with Over the Edge. That's how I got involved with Big Brothers Big Sisters a few years ago. Those of you who are unfamiliar, Over the Edge is a fundraiser that they do where you get to rappel off a skyscraper, basically, to raise money for something. So what better way to have fun and raise money for a good cause? So that's how I met Krystina, and we've known each other for a little while. And I can tell you that Krystina is also very adventurous. I can remember you've been to the climbing gym, you've been there, and you actually climb when you come to the thing. We went to Dexterity Depot. I know Tara Brown is a fan of yours as well.
Great.
And you are on the rings and you're doing the stuff which a lot of people don't do when they go to those places. So I was totally impressed. And did you mention you do martial arts of some sort, right?
Yes, I do Tongsudo.
That's awesome. Tell us what that is, because I have no idea what that is.
Similar to Taekwondo. It's a Korean martial arts style, and it is basically a fairly old style. Tongsudo is a little bit more traditional than Taekwondo. Taekwondo is a little bit more what you see on the stage, but they have very similar styles, basic hand and foot techniques and whatnot. So, and I've been doing that for a very, very long time.
Since you could walk, is that in the family?
Well, yeah, I think I started at age 5. My sister started at age 3. And it was all of the women in our family, 3 daughters and my mother.
That's great. And where do you go around here to practice? Is that what you call it? Practice?
Yeah, it's class.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I love that you still do it and you haven't given that up. So I love that. So tell us a little bit about Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Capital Region. Obviously, everybody is familiar with the large entity, but tell us a little bit about you locally and maybe a little bit of a differentiator about what makes you the local chapter.
Sure. So first of all, for anyone who's not familiar with the organization, our mission is to create and support one-to-one mentoring relationships that ignite the power and promise of youth. So we connect our kids, littles, with caring mentors, our bigs, who then inspire those kids to explore and embrace their dreams, and even during difficult times like the pandemic. And our staff is there for every step of the way. We support the child, the mentor, and the family throughout the extent of the relationship, whether that mentoring relationship is a year, 3 years, 5 years, or even 10 years, running from elementary school all the way up through and past high school graduation. And we cover 5 counties in the local Capital Region area.
You said past high school. Is there a age cutoff, or is there a hard cutoff, or is that kind of a case by case, or how does that work?
So we recently extended that. So officially, we supported youth to high school graduation. Now, of course, especially for mentoring relationships that have lasted for 5, 7, 10 years, generally speaking, those mentoring relationships continued, even though we stepped out of the picture and supported another child. However, we have recognized nationally that heading out of college, whether it is or heading out of high school, whether it's to college, to a trade school, into a job, or even just into another form of education, training, preparation for life experiences, a lot of those kids still continue to need support during that transition. And so we've extended our essentially our support to help those kids for the several years after high school graduation, to make sure that if they still need to have us there to provide guidance as another support system, that we're still there to help them.
Yeah, totally. I mean, my parents still help me with things, and obviously you're close with your family, so we all need help past high school. It doesn't just end at 18 and all of a sudden we don't need any help from anybody. So I think that's great. And do sometimes relationships build where it just ends up being a relationship outside of the system, where they both, it's kind of over, but they still stay in touch and still have a mentor-mentee relationship?
Yeah, because, the goal is to build the relationship. It isn't our goal necessarily to ensure that it lasts for an indefinite amount of time. That we would love for that to happen with every relationship that we build. But, our focus is on the youth and providing that support for them during their childhood. However, we have had, littles that have gone to their big's wedding, and then years later, the big has gone to the little's wedding. So a lot of those relationships continue much further, even though our agency has officially stepped out of the picture. The big and little, the relationship is still there, because for them, that friendship is still extremely important, and is still, you build a friendship with someone you consider your mentor, consider somebody that you care about. It's not something that just goes away. Even if you lose contact for a little bit, we've had bigs and littles that have reconnected several years later. We've had bigs that have helped their littles get jobs at companies either that they've had friends at, or even at their own company as an internship, or coming in as recommendation for a job. So we've had a variety of different ways that those relationships have benefited the youth on kind of the professional end of things. But there's also the emotional impact that, those bigs are there during times like the pandemic. They're somebody that can help them emotionally, can help them build resilience, can help them feel that they're not alone in this situation.
How have you adapted during all this, and how is the bigs and the littles and you, the people that are running and matching and doing all the things to make it all happen? How have you been dealing with everything? I know you're obviously not in the office right now, and you said earlier before we got on the air that you have some match meetings in the office, but you try not to for the most part. So how is everybody dealing with this?
Well, first of all, when the regulations were put in for Pennsylvania, we never stopped. We barreled forward, we adapted, we made sure that all of our matches were contacted, our parents, our families, our bigs, made sure that they were able to stay in contact with us, or able to still stay in contact with their bigs. And then we put in place specific regulations. So we have a lot of matches that are meeting virtually, and have been for now essentially nearly a year that they've been meeting solely virtually out of safety for their comfort zones. We have matches that do meet in person, but we have guidelines for when they meet in person that follow CDC recommendations. We have a lot of matches that we make virtually, where we introduce them virtually via a video conference call, and then they'll connect via Facebook or FaceTime or texting, phone calls. We have had bigs who have dropped off crafting materials to their littles, who have worked on with them to send letters to each other. We have some that connect and play video games together. It ranges across the board. And it has to do with the comfort zone, the comfort of both the families and the bigs. And if we do have a meeting in the office where we invite the big parent and little to meet for the first time, we still make sure that we follow all the CDC guidelines in those scenarios as well. And we generally keep a limit on number of people in the office. So.
And who comes up with those guidelines? Are they sent down from above from national? Because then there's state stuff you have to know too. So is somebody in the organization?
Or
you?
National versus local. So we are a legally separate entity. So our nonprofit here in the capital region, all of the funds that we raise stays here. All of the youth that we support are here, and we are affiliated with the national organization. So they do provide guidelines and recommendations, and we adapt those for what's necessary for our community.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at earlier when I didn't state it quite right, but I wanted everybody, because they know of this as a big thing, and some people say, why don't you highlight somebody that's local? This is totally local. Any money that goes to you guys stays local, and it's run by local, and it's all local. So that's what I wanted to highlight a little bit, which doesn't say that some things don't translate or overlap in some ways, and you don't you talk to your brother and sister organizations, and somebody does over the edge, and then the other one does over the edge.
Yeah, no, we have a great network, but we run our own events here. The funds we raise stay local. We make sure that whatever support we have from the community is supporting the kids that are in this community.
And so right now, we talked a little bit about how COVID and the shutdown and all that stuff is affecting how the matches are getting together and doing things, but how is it just affecting kids in general? Why do kids need support now more than ever?
Well, first of all, so studies show that the physical distancing that takes place during COVID can also lead to social isolation, even though it's obviously not the intent. It can cause kids to feel cut off. Their major school events are closed. They may be doing school, either in completely virtually or partially virtually, where they're showing up at school on occasion. But even there, they're following specific guidelines and distancing from peers. So they're not always able to engage in the same way that they have previously. So it's been difficult for kids to maintain relationships with their peers, whether that's via school or through extracurricular activities. And you can get on a virtual conference call, but you don't always get a chance to talk one-to-one with the people who you care about and build that support system in the same way that you normally would, where you express what difficulty you have. And that's where our mentors come in. Is they're there as a listening ear. They're somebody who the kids can contact when they're having a rough day, when they need some support. They're checking in with their littles on a regular basis. They're providing guidance, basically. They're providing friendship and guidance during a time when these kids need extra support from the community and extra support from friends, and are overall just generally help to get through this. And they help those kids to build resilience. They help them to see a future beyond the pandemic. Help them say, this is happening right now. You're not the only one that is involved in it, which is huge, because you feel very isolated during the pandemic. And for youth in particular, those emotions can get built up, and in some cases trapped, where they don't have necessarily an outlet or an opportunity to express those challenges and difficulties. And that's also where our staff step in, is we provide our bigs with resources. We set up a COVID-19 resource page on our website. We stayed connected with all of our bigs families and the and the kids to see if any of them need additional support. We provide referrals to other community partners. If the kid needs additional support, we look to provide that support for them.
So, I mean, it's a lot of isolation. Basically, it's not having people around, and you go to class with these people in your Zoom room, but they're not necessarily reaching out to you outside of that. So there's no personal connection. Plus, even if they can't be with anybody, even if it's a big or little, they can't be with them personally. It's at least somebody that's making a consistent effort to care about them and show that somebody cares about them and reaching out to them. And a lot of the littles, you know, they're not going to reach out to other people. If nobody's reaching out to them, they might not have the wherewithal or the positive energy, or they might not reach out to anybody. So they need somebody doing that.
They might not even know to ask for help when they're dealing with that situation. So.
Right. Yeah. So it's awesome that that's happening. Have you seen, you get requests? How do people request? This isn't the place where we're going to go into that, but how do people request to be a little or big? And have you seen a surge in requests for matches?
It's kind of been mixed, to be honest, because, you know, especially on the mentor side, when the pandemic occurred, a lot of people kind of had this, we'll wait because we'll see how this plays out, you know, because a couple months maybe we can be back together, and then I'll volunteer as a big. So we actually had a little bit of a dip in people who we contacted who said, oh, I'm going to wait until the pandemic is over. Well, it's nearly been for the impact on us in Pennsylvania has been basically a year now. And those kids can't wait. It's been a year and they need that support. So, you know, we've made an effort basically since the beginning to make sure that we can match kids and mentors virtually to make sure that everybody feels safe in this scenario. And we have had a number of people that have volunteered, but right now we are looking for people to come in and volunteer. And we are absolutely always open to youth, to parents who want to enroll their child. You can just visit our website at capbigs.org and either enroll a child or volunteers right on the homepage. You can click on the button on the right, volunteer to be big, enroll a child. Very easy to get to.
Yeah. And so how do if say, let's say people are connecting a lot with Zoom rooms, or you said Facebook, FaceTime, or whatever, video chat for the most part. What if somebody doesn't have the resources for that? Can you guys hook them up or get them an iPad or a phone or Wi-Fi? Or sometimes there's that kind of issue, right?
Yes. If we do find that a child needs support, like I said, we reach out to a lot of community partners for that situation. And if we have enough youth where we realize that they need some sort of additional technology, we've also in the past applied for grants for that kind of assistance. I'll say most people and most of the kids, even in our in our program, at least have access to a phone. Even if it's a family phone, they're still able to connect with their bigs somehow. And in addition to that, our national agency, our national affiliate, Big Brothers Big Sisters of America, created a Big Brothers Big Sisters app, so that bigs and littles can connect in a safe environment. They don't have to connect via social media. They connect in a secured, safe environment that our national partner has created for them. So we've done everything we can to provide open lines of communication and make sure that our bigs, littles, and families can all stay connected during the pandemic.
That's super cool. So it totally makes sense that there would be an app by now. But so it's what's the app? Tell us a little bit about that. You can chat in it. Can the parents get access to things, photos, videos? What can they do?
So primarily it is focused on sort of like texting, but keeping things in, if you will, kind of a monitored environment, so that our staff can also see if there's any questions or anything that arise. Our bigs and littles can connect, our bigs and parents can connect, and chat with each other, arrange if they're going to meet up outdoors and go on a hike or some kind of activity, they can arrange for those types of things. So you could text, but it's a little bit of I would say a little bit more of an IM sort of an environment where you can send messages back and forth very, very easily. It's very intuitive. It provides some additional COVID resources and guidance. So for bigs and littles who need a place where they can just chat and connect, it's fantastic.
Yeah. And I'm sure, you have adults and kids interacting together, so it's probably good to have it in a place where it can be kept track of and all that kind of stuff.
Well,
Although I'm sure everything's usually fine, but
and just to address that point that you brought up, our agency, the biggest goal is the safety of the youth. We want to make sure that our kids are safe. So all of our matches, bigs and littles, we have regular check-ins where we contact the big, little, and parent, see how things are going, inquire if, does little still feel safe in meeting up with their big? Are there any concerns? And, safety doesn't necessarily have to be, a big concern, but if there's something that is brought up, we make sure to address it because we want to make sure that our kids are safe. And in some cases, it's not, necessarily even safety with who they're at, but safety for themselves. Because like I said, a lot of kids are dealing with isolation. Well, that brings along anxiety and depression. And our agency is a trauma-informed agency, which means that when we recognize that youth behavior can, in a lot of cases, have a trauma-based origin. And so we recognize that there may be trauma that they've dealt with currently. I mean, the pandemic itself can cause trauma. So whether it's current trauma or past trauma, we recognize that there is oftentimes trauma that the child may be experiencing. So we make sure that the language we're talking with the kids and how we address and present questions, how we talk with them about difficult situations, we're not counselors, but if we recognize that they need a counseling support, then we'll contact the parents to, make recommendations for that. So our agency really focuses on the safety of the child from all aspects.
Yeah, and that's obviously paramount to everybody, yes. And I'm sure that's paramount to you guys before everything else, obviously. So I remember you thinking the figure $1,500 sticks in my head as the cost per match. I feel like you said that at some point. Is there a cost per match? And then is there some kind of figure for ongoing? Because sometimes that helps people when they're giving. So for like over the edge, it was $1,000 or $1,500 to do the thing. And I like to think of it as if you do $1,500, that's basically you're sponsoring a match. So is there a certain cost?
Yeah, for about a year. And that cost has changed a bit with the pandemic, surprisingly, partly because, we have had a lot of additional unexpected challenges. It's more difficult to bring in funding during the pandemic, where our events like Bowl for Kids' Sake isn't it isn't a reasonable option right now. So we've been looking for different alternatives. But if you want to think about it, any amount that you give will support a match, whether it's for a day, a week, a month, a year, honestly, anything that you want to give to support the kids will make an impact. So yeah, if you want to support for a year and do $1,500, fantastic. But I don't want to devalue even the $5 donations that we receive, because they still make an impact and they still help.
Totally. Yeah. Every little bit counts for sure. And is there a particular need for any type of big or male versus female or shortage or anything that you guys particularly need right now? Money or bigs or littles, I guess, come to you.
Honestly, yes, we need mentors. Just anyone who is willing and interested in supporting and changing the life of a child, giving them, an opportunity to broaden their horizons, please sign up. Even if you just sign up to find out more about the program, that still can make a difference, because then you're more informed about what we do. And even if you decide that mentoring right now isn't necessarily what you want to do, maybe you want to participate in events, maybe you want to make a donation. There's a lot of different ways to get involved. It doesn't just have to be as a mentor. I mean, Derek, you've been involved for now, I think, 3 years as committee support for Over the Edge event. There's lots of different ways you can support. So at the very least, visiting our website and signing up as a mentor or sending us an email to info@capbigs.org. Any of those options are fantastic. And of course, donations always help.
Yeah, I like that you brought that up, because I forgot to even think about it, is that you don't have to be a big or give money. You can also volunteer at these events, because you have all these kind of events that you hold, or you can be on a committee or just volunteer your time. So I love that you brought that up. So circling back to being a big, what would be a time commitment if somebody wanted to think about being a big? Is that a moving target, your choice, or is there a minimum time commitment, or how many hours you're supposed to spend with a little or anything?
Not hours. We recommend I mean, whether it's virtually or in person, meeting up with the little about 2 to 3 times a month. We do not recommend you try to make a commitment of every single week, because that can exhaust your resources and exhaust the parents' resources. Timing, scheduling, that can be difficult. But if you aim for 2 to 3 times a month, you're making a regular, consistent commitment. And we ask that mentors commit to a minimum of a year. Now, on average, most mentors and most of our matches last on average 3 years, just under 3 years. So even though our minimum commitment is a year, most bigs and littles stay in the program and stay connected for approximately 3 years. Now, we do have quite a few outliers that have, stayed connected for 10 years or more, but at the moment, I was just around 3 years. So we do have a long-term commitment where, youth are staying connected with their bigs, heading elementary school into middle school or middle school into high school, going through transition, that kind of a thing. And
Sure.
I don't think I addressed your question earlier. You were asking what kind of mentor we're looking for. Honestly, any kind of mentor is a fantastic mentor. But I do want to point out that we do tend to have more women volunteering as mentors than men. So we're always open to men. Love you to come volunteer. And the other thing is we look for individuals of a variety of different backgrounds and ethnicities, particularly because a lot of the youth we support are African American, and having an African American big, there's a huge thing about being able to visualize where you can go, and seeing somebody who looks like you, who has had similar experiences, can make a huge impact on how these kids see what their possibilities for the future are. Because if they can't envision it, it's going to be that much more difficult to achieve it. But if they're able to see themselves there, then they're already able to start setting those goals, setting in their minds that dream, and being able to visualize where they see themselves in the future, so that they can start putting themselves on the track to reach that dream. Which, if you don't mind, I'd love to transition to our Youth Rise program and bring that up real quick.
Yeah, but before you do, I want to answer one objection that a question of mine that some other people can. So I have kids.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I would do it, but the little would have to be around my kids. Is that acceptable? If somebody has kids already, they have to be separated? How does that kind of thing work?
Yeah. So we have, well, first of all, we have a lot of youth where we have, either big brothers or big sisters where they have, kids with them. And a lot of cases, everyone will get together kind of as a family where they get to hang out together. Now, of course, the emphasis is on that one-to-one relationship. So we do encourage time spent where the mentor is able to connect with the little, just time for themselves, because in some cases, these kids are coming to the program because they need that one-to-one attention and connection. That's part of what we do at the beginning, where we meet all of our prospective mentors, meet all of the kids who are coming, and we find out from the kids, what's your comfort level? What kinds of activities do you like to do? Who would you be comfortable talking to? And, what kinds of things you like to do? And we ask the mentors the same questions so that we can customize the matches and make sure that there's a foundation of similar interests, that there's a similar, not necessarily a similar personality, but a complementary personality, so that, either the kid won't be, we don't want a child who will feel intimidated by a mentor who's very outgoing and very, high energy level. And we want to make sure that the child that's coming in.
Are you talking about somebody in particular?
So we match you with a child who, has a high energy level and likes to do outdoor activities. We have a great match in Cumberland County, Tahir and Art. And for their first match activity, Art took Tahir on this, I think it was a 10-mile bike ride. And I don't know if Tahir's ever biked before. I mean, assuming he knew how to ride a bike, but that doesn't mean he'd gone on a 10-mile bike ride. And Art he's more advanced in age, and he is a go-getter. He wants to do the hikes, he wants to do the bikes, he wants to go kayaking. And Tahir, he's I think I looked up recently, I think he is 11 right now, and he is out there doing all of these activities. He's right there with Art. He's doing crazy activities that I'm not certain I could go on a 10-mile bike ride. But in terms of energy, but when they talk, Art talks a lot. He's very verbose. He loves to share stories and explain things. And Tyre's more reserved. He's a little bit quieter, isn't as comfortable in front of the camera. But the two of them love going out and doing activities together. They've done baking, all kinds of different things that they like to do together. So, and that's part of what our staff do, is make sure that we match a child up with a mentor who they can thrive with, who is going to basically provide that inspiration for the child.
Yeah, and it makes sense that you would put some emphasis on the one-on-one, because a lot of these kids, they're not necessarily all, people might think it's an orphan or somebody that has nobody. They have no aunts and uncles and no parents and no siblings. A lot of these kids do have siblings, and they do have a mom or a dad, or maybe even both, I guess.
A lot of them do have both. I mean, we have,
but they just don't get that one-on-one. They're not getting the attention that they need.
We one of our big and little of the year from last year, her mother left the family when she was a child, and she started to act out and really express the trauma from that experience in negative ways in school and at home. So her father, who's very loving, very supportive, enrolled her in our program because she needed that support at that time period. And her big sister went through not only that crisis with her, through a medical crisis in middle school, and now she is currently at Penn State studying to be a math teacher for middle school students, because she said middle school was one of the darkest time periods for her. So she wants to be there to support kids during a time period that was very difficult for her. And she's on her way. That's
super cool. That leads into the other question that I was going to ask. And this will be the last question, then I'll let you talk about whatever you wanted to get into. Do littles turn into bigs ever?
Yes. Actually, the young lady I was talking about, she told her big sister recently that once she graduates from college, she wants to come back and volunteer. So the biggest challenge is, a lot of cases, those kids will head off into the wide world, and they may be bigs, but they're not necessarily bigs with our affiliate. Like, they'll be at a different affiliate.
I was going to say, unless she comes back here to teach in Central PA.
Exactly. Although we did have something cool where a young lady who was enrolled as a little in our program a number of years ago just brought her daughter to our program to be enrolled. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I guess no matter where they go, if you're helping kids, that's good. It doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because you didn't do it here doesn't mean it's not valuable.
And we have met a number of bigs and volunteers that have said, "Oh yeah, I was a little." At one time, so we've had from other agencies where they've come to us as a big mentor, as a volunteer, even as a donor.
Yeah, that's great. So let's go ahead and get into whatever you were going to start talking about before I.
I wanted to let everybody know that coming up, we have a program that we just launched last year. It's called Youth Rise Stand Together. And so the program is a partnership between Big Brothers Big Sisters locally, our Capital Region affiliate, the Harrisburg Regional Chamber and Credit, and Whitaker Center. And the intent of the program is for middle and high school students to have meaningful interactions with BIPOC, which stands for Black, Indigenous, People of Color, our BIPOC community leaders, local leaders in our region, to be able to bridge gaps in opportunity for the kids in the Capital Region, which I know is a mouthful, and yes, I had all that written down. But really,
I see it.
What we're really looking to do is change conversations around race and really fill in gaps where systemic racism tears us apart, giving, like I said, the opportunity for these kids to see somebody who looks like them, who has had similar experiences to them, who can relate to the feelings that they may have when they encounter challenges related to racism or discrimination, and be able to provide that guidance and advice. And so this is our third series, and we actually have 2 speakers for this series, so we're very excited about that. This is open not just to Big Brothers Big Sisters kids. This is open to any middle or high school student who wants to come in and hear conversations from professionals about how they were in your place before and how they got to where they are today, talking about the journey that they've experienced, the mentors that have helped them, and providing some advice and guidance. What do you do when you first enter the workforce? Or we have mentors who they might have been, we have speakers who might have been maybe the only African-American individual in their workplace, and experiencing the difficulties and unusual challenges that come with that, and being able to provide these kids with some guidance and advice and support. And so our next event is taking place on March 24th at 3 o'clock. And again, this is a free program for any middle or high school students who wants to attend. Registration is required, and you can see the registration on our homepage at capbigs.org. And our speakers for March are, I'm probably going to say her name wrong, but it's Angela Robinson Gaylord and Frank Walter. They're both employees of Rite Aid, and they're going to talk about their career paths, the experiences that allowed them to reach their goals, and talk about how they engage in the community today.
Got that wrong. Sorry. I was putting it up there for those of you who might be listening later in audio. I was trying to put up the date, March 24th at 3 p.m. And you answered my question. I was going to ask who the speakers were. So that's awesome. Some really good speakers happening. So let's talk about some of the other programs that you have going on. Well, the fundraisers, which are I like to call them fundraisers, because you guys are really good at raising funds in a fun way. So I obviously plugged or talked about Over the Edge a little bit. Maybe you could just run down the different events that you do, and maybe we could touch on how you've pivoted. I hate using that word these days, but pivoted your events and adjusted for the times, because I know you're doing like online bingo, and that's pretty much a reoccurring monthly, I think, or.
Yeah. Although we're swapping it up a little bit coming into March, but yeah, we've done some online virtual bingos and trivias since the start of the pandemic. One of the things we've done, which is more program related than fundraising, was we did have at the start of the pandemic, we were providing regular virtual match activities for our bigs and littles. We had a lot of speakers from the community who came in and, shared a farm tour, shared beekeeping, shared art, science experiments, whole range of different things, which of course you can find on our Facebook page. Feel free to check that out. And, but we do provide regular virtual match activities, and all of these fundraising events support the bigs, littles, relationships, as well as the match activities and educational support that we provide through our programs. And so for this year, we obviously have Over the Edge, which is coming up in the fall in October. We normally traditionally do Bowl for Kids' Sake around this time, but out of respect for the situation with the community, we're adjusting that. And this year we are going to just look at the entire year, all of our events, and say we're going big for kids' sake. So anything that you want to do as a fundraiser, feel free. If you want to hold your own small third-party fundraiser and raise funds and support our organization, go for it. Pick your activity. But if you'd rather us structure it for you, coming up this spring, we are going to have a virtual 5K, a Go Big for Kids' Sake 5K, and we are going to have a Golf for Kids' Sake challenge. Now, if anybody saw last year where our board member Joe Holston golfed 100 holes in a single day, we are again going to issue a challenge. Might be a little bit different than the challenge we issued last year, but keep your eyes open for that. We will have registration out. Yes, it was 100 holes. It was really crazy, Derek. You got to see the video.
I can't stand 9 holes of golf. I'm too wound up to play golf.
So we're going to be putting out more information about registration and the details for both of those coming very soon. So please follow us on social media at BBBS Cap Region, and make sure to check out our website at capbigs.org. As soon as the registrations are live, they will be up on that website, and we're looking forward to both of those events. And feel free to participate, join us. And then in March, we have a really unique event that's taking place. We are participating in the Cumberland County Match Madness with the Partnership for Better Health, M&T Bank, and the Josiah W. and Bessie H. Klein Foundation. So the way this is going to work is your donations that you make have the opportunity to allow our agency to gain additional donations that are provided by the Partnership for Better Health, by M&T Bank, and, as I said, the Josiah W. and Bessie H. Klein Foundation. They are providing a matching gift incentive, a total of $90,000 that is going to be provided for all of the agencies that are participating. And depending upon what Big Brothers Big Sisters raises, what you support us with, what you donate, we'll have the opportunity to receive a portion of that $90,000. Now, really key, if you are one of the first couple of people to make a donation, you will be matched dollar for dollar. The first $1,000 raised in March, and keep in mind this starts on March 1st, so we won't have information up until March 1st, which is Monday, if I remember correctly. But the first $1,000 raised for Big Brothers Big Sisters will be matched dollar for dollar. So if you want to double your donation, that's the time you want to donate, right on March 1st. But otherwise, any donations that you want us to provide throughout the month of March, March 1st, very end, you can absolutely, make a donation, and that will get us closer to receiving more of that $90,000 gift incentive. So we're excited about it. Our goal this year is to raise a minimum of $5,000, which then in addition to that, we'll get some, matches from the total amount raised. We have a lot of different nonprofit organizations in the Cumberland County region that are participating in this. It's great. You should absolutely check it out. We'll have information up on our social media and our website right on March 1st. So make sure you stop by, and any amount helps, even if it's a $5 donation. We'll provide the link there.
Yeah, and like you said, any amount, and I think the bingo even is, I think it starts at like $10. You might be able to go lower than that, but it's like $10 to play the bingo. I did it one time, I think. And then you could give more. The default might have been $10. Maybe you can go lower, but it's not like you have to give a whole bunch of money. And the bingo thing is fun. I thought that was a great idea because
we're probably going to change that up as we're heading into the virtual 5K and whatnot. But you'll see bingo come back around later in the year, I think.
Yeah, and it's easy, or if you're sitting around the house and don't have anything to do and you want to play a game instead of staring at the TV and doing something that doesn't help anybody, you can do that.
We want to get people up and moving come springtime.
So how's the 5K going to work? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure, I can provide some details. We are still working out some specifications, but basically what we're going to ask is that you register for the 5K, and you will do it on your own time. We are basically going to set about a month time period in which you can, walk, run, whatever. You don't have to do it in a single day. If you want to do 5K throughout the whole month, or within a week, or within a couple of days, it is up to you. And then, we're planning to, as of right now, we're looking into providing a shirt and possibly a medal. But again, we'll provide more details once everything is solidified. We're working with our one of our sponsors to set that up, and we're really excited for it because we haven't really done a virtual 5K before, so it's a unique experience for us, and we hope that you'll support us and have fun as well. And of course, this is a good opportunity for any of our bigs and littles who want to get out and walk together and run together. So
totally. And you could you could be across the street from one another if you had to keep a lot of distance. You could play laser tag across the street. There's tons of things you could do like in person, but totally far away from each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Water balloon launchers, something.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you need committee members? Obviously, I'm involved with that. Do you need more committee members for specific events, or what's the need as far as like people that organize this stuff?
So we are setting up our committees for the 5K and for the golf challenge. So if anybody has an interest in that, send an email to us to info@capbigs.org. Let us know you're interested, and we'll connect you with those committee chairs. And yeah, we can absolutely use support.
And it's not a huge time commitment. I'll say I'm involved with all this stuff, and it could be if you wanted to put more, but it's not. You can be as involved in.
We will take whatever support you're able to give.
And it's fun. Everybody involved is always really great. And if you want to network with people, usually there are good people to network with as well. So totally worth it. And I will plug, I always say this to everybody, the best, if you want to volunteer for something and you like extreme stuff or want to conquer a fear of anything extreme, the Over the Edge, and I know you're still working the detail. We are still working the details out. You mostly for that. But if you want to do something fun and raise money for a good cause, there is nothing better. And you can even just volunteer. And most of the time they got to test these things. And most of us volunteers get to do the rappel off the skyscraper just for volunteering.
We'll have a limited number of volunteers this year because our Over the Edge company that we partner with has very specific pandemic COVID-19 safety guidelines in place. So the number of people in the building is limited. So it'll be a little bit different than last year, just implementing extra safety precautions, but the flow will be exactly the same as usual, where you come in, you go over, get harnessed up, you go over the safety guidelines, you head up to the roof, do a practice rappel, and then over the building you go.
And it's super fun. And even if you can't volunteer, you should sign up and raise the money to do it.
Absolutely.
I forget what the total was, but yeah. So you're telling me I need to sign up like the second you open that registration.
Pretty
I
much.
need to get my Good thing I'm on that committee, right?
You're on the committee.
Yeah. So make sure I'm on that list. I want to be on that roof all day long. Or as much as possible. On the floors too, good.
Yeah, you've been with us for so long, you kind of get a little bit of a VIP on that.
I hope so.
On the roof to help.
You get plenty of video and social media coverage out of it if I'm up there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. But I encourage people to volunteer at any capacity. And even if you don't want to rappel off the side of a building, volunteer and get involved with a committee, or you can, like you said, you can volunteer at a specific event, like at the table in front or that kind of stuff, or you can give money and donate money, or you can be a big. So there's a variety of different ways that you can help big brothers, big sisters.
Let me add on to that. For any companies that are interested in getting involved, of course, we have corporate sponsorship support opportunities, but also we have an opportunity for your employees to learn more about our organization, how to get involved. So if you're interested in providing volunteer opportunities and engagement opportunities for your employees, ask us for a lunch and learn, and we'll come in during lunchtime, chat about our organization, see what everybody's interests are, and let them know how they can get involved.
Yeah, and if anybody out there needs a pet charity, which I hate to say that, I see your face there.
But pet charity?
A pet charity, the go-to charity. I mean, they have somebody that they typically do fundraisers for and work with on a regular basis, kind of like I do with you guys. You're my go-to. If I want to do some volunteer work, I kind of look to you guys first, and then if I want to expand from that, I do. So if anybody out there is looking for that partnership or somebody that they want to support on an ongoing basis, Big Brothers Big Sisters are awesome. And Krystina has been there for a while and is awesome to work with and is very interactive and responsive, yada, yada. Obviously on here, you've seen how good she is. And everybody else there too. You guys have a good staff and a fun, welcoming staff too. So I encourage everybody to definitely get involved. So we're winding down, but we're going to end with a fun question that has nothing to do with about any of this stuff. So I'm gonna fun party questions. Questions. So that doesn't mean they're gonna be raunchy or anything, but okay.
I know, but
101 fun and interesting questions. So I'm just gonna randomly pick like 3 of these. I'll read 3 and you can pick which one you want to answer. So let's go. Here, you pick between 1 and 101, and that's where I'll start with the 3. So don't pick 100.
Okay.
Any number between 1 and 98.
1 and 98. How about 33?
33. All right. I kind of like this way. I've never done the pick the number. All right. So I'll read starting at 33. I'll read 3 questions, and then you can answer whatever one you want. So, what's your favorite childhood book? That's too lame. Easy. What's a great book you've read recently? Also not the best, but these are okay if you want to answer. Do you feel like a leader or a follower? That's a little better. So what's your favorite childhood book? What's a great book you've read recently? Or do you feel like a leader or a follower?
I'm actually going to answer the leader follow question. I think I fit into both categories very well, actually. I have had a lot of situations in my life where I have had the opportunity and have enjoyed stepping up to the plate and leading. But I also very much adapt well to following somebody else's lead and guidance. Although generally speaking, if I am following along, I like to have a little bit, just part of the marketing end of things. I like to have a little bit more information and have kind of a bigger picture, overarching view that I think some people would go after. So yeah, I can get very like nitty gritty into the details and getting that, really focus on what my role is in any specific scenario. But I definitely have stepped into the leadership roles a number of times in my life, and even at my current organization at Big Brothers Big Sisters. So
yeah, it makes you a good team player when you can both lead and follow. If you can only lead, that can be a problem sometimes, unless you own your own business and you are the ultimate leader. But most people have somebody, even if it's not a boss at work, somebody's going to be leading you a little bit. But let's tell everybody how they can find you. We'll put your information up. Read it audibly for anybody that might be listening to this later on just audio.
So if you want to support, please visit capbigs.org. That's CAPBIGS.org, or give us a call 717-236-0199. And feel free to send us an email, info@capbigs.org. So please reach out. Let us know if you have any questions, even following up from this podcast. If you have any questions, want to know more about how to get involved, be a big, please let us know and reach out.
Yeah, and I'll leave that up there for anybody during these closing announcements can reach out to you. I'll leave the little ticker up there. And I just wanted to remind everybody that the next event or the next thing happening starting March 1st is the Match Madness. And there were a couple ideas. You can go back and listen or hit us up in the comments and we can hit you up with that. But just basically go to the website and you can find anything that you guys are doing. And since we've had lots of conversations about buttons and calls to action at the top of your website, there's always a button taking you right to what you need to find on there. So that's great. A few announcements before we go out. If you're interested in a business spotlight package, which consists of Greg coming to your business and trying out your business, showing behind the scenes kind of how the sausage is made, and then an interview and business spotlight. We don't really talk about marketing anymore with people. So I need to change that. But kind of like you're seeing here with me and Krystina here on StreamYard. And then you also get a networking mixer at your business with however many people COVID permits and your business permits. So you get the trifecta of stuff. If you're interested in one of those, they're free at this point. They are booked out, the networking mixers, through July or August. So it's tough to get those. But if you want to do an episode with me, feel free to reach out to me. I love doing episodes all the time and supporting Central PA small businesses. If you want to get our special offers, join our email list at supportcentralpa.com. Join our Facebook group if you're watching this not on LinkedIn today, which really upsets me. If you're watching this somewhere off of Facebook right now, YouTube, or just not in the group, please head over to our Facebook group, Central PA Support Small Business, and join that. Very, very active group. Great people in there, and real business gets exchanged in there. Follow me on Clubhouse, Agent Derek on Clubhouse, and we'll actually be on there right after this episode in 9 minutes with Chrissy Kressler and Billy Zarillo. Will also be hosts on there, and I'm not going to get into it and geek out with you guys, but Clubhouse is a great place to network with people, and we'll be there, and you can come and share your business and support others in that atmosphere. And contact me if you need to buy or sell a home. I am a realtor here in Central PA. Above all else, remember to support Central PA small business and our charities, our local charities like Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and Krystina. So thanks for watching and listening. Say goodbye, Krystina.
Goodbye. Thank you so much for having me.
See you, everybody.